We play a little bit
Hi.
something, and then I will start to talking. Okay. Nice to meet you guys, and thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't listen to anybody, just me. Do you hear me?
Yes, loud and
Oh,
clear.
okay. So
Yes, brilliant.
I'm not listening to people, right? Just
No, everyone's muted.
okay. All right. So my name is Alex Rossi. I'm born in Brazil. And the nice fact is I'm born next to a harmonica factory called Herring. I think you guys probably heard about it, and you probably maybe had one Herring harmonicas in your life. Actually, Herring was the only harmonica factory in the three Americas, in South America and North America and Central America. And for lucky enough, I born next to the factory. My grandmother used to work in the factory. My school was next to the factory, so I have the factory was in a few blocks, so I have to pass by the factory a few times, and going to school or going to my grandmother house or going somewhere else. So remember having a lesson on school, and I hear somebody tuning I think was a melodica, was a accordion, but there was a harmonica factory. So I start to go into the factory and learn, sit next to the guys that tuning the harmonicas, and I learned a lot about building up the instruments there. So I'm also a technician of fixing chromatics, diatonics, tuning, etc., etc. Do custom harmonicas. So there I learned a lot about how to build it up and how to maintenance the harmonica, but there's not much people that was able to teach me. So I was playing saxophone on the band from the Stadthaus from the city, and being in the factory, I had a few books because they used to sell harmonicas with this beginning books. So I put together the information from the saxophone to the harmonica and start to discover things. On a harmonica, I am self-taught. I learned everything myself. I met few people here and there, and they teach me something, but I never did a lesson. And then I start to work with this factory. I grew up. I start to play music. I'm diatonic player too. I play a lot of blues before, still do, but I'm more busy with the chromatic in those days. Then I moved inside of Brazil from a few cities. I was playing as a musician already, and then I live in. I used to live in Buenos Aires. I used to live in Dallas, Texas. I used to live in Antwerp, Belgium. Now I am in Amsterdam, mainly doing lessons, lots of lessons. I teach here in 4 schools. I also teach online. I teach diatonic and chromatic. I'm also do custom harmonicas, tuning harmonicas. I'm working on the harmonicas from Gregory Maret. I think you guys know him. I did custom and tuning harmonicas for a few big names when I was in In Brazil, also in Dallas, I work with Mark Hummel, Riquestro, and Wilson, Samaias, Gary Primich, and many others. I record a lot of albums. I'm doing a lot of records for people, especially in those this year. I'm doing a lot of records here in my studio for people all over the world. They need a harmonica. I can record here a chromatic or a diatonic. My background with the music, I play a lot of blues rock with the diatonic. That long time ago that was paying my bills, but beside that I was always playing chromatic because as I said before, I'm from Brazil, so in Brazil we have lots of rhythms, lots of music. The music there is really rich. Although I was really a hook up with the rock and roll from England, but I still love the Brazilian music and different styles, and I was playing chromatic too. But my bills was being paying with the diatonic, so I had the diatonic more. How can I say that? Was increased inside of my music business more. But I was beside that I was playing chromatic, and I think I'm really super busy with the chromatic from the last I don't know 15 years more or less. It's a really difficult instrument, sometimes easy but sometimes not. I have some albums playing chromatic. Did one of the albums is a tribute for Tom Jobim. Alex Rossi Quartet plays Tom Jobim. There I play Wave that I played today here. It was a composition from Tom Jobim, Wave. We play Wave there. That album has some special guests, and one is actually is his birthday today. Is a great chromatic player from Brazil, Mauricio Einhorn. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He wrote lots of bossa novas. He is the composer from lots of bossa nova songs, and I had a few albums that I did for a record label in America, in Dallas, Texas, Top Cat Records. I think my last album was from 2 years ago, a duo with a guitar player from Brazil, where I play only chromatic, called Something to Say. I play some classical, some Brazilian music, some choro, some jazz standards. I don't consider myself a jazz player. I also not consider myself a blues player or um, bossa nova player. I'm a musician. I play music. I suppose I can do really well the music that I play, but I don't put any in the style. I'm busy practicing Bach. Sometimes I practice Charlie Parker, and then I do some Tom Jobim music or Beatles or whatever. So music for me is most important. Also, maybe interesting to talk about this album. We did the tribute for Toots Thielemans. I don't know if you guys know this album. We did the tribute for Toots a few years ago. I am the producer, and together with Gabriel Rossi, a great player from Brazil, we produced this album, and we have Gregor Maré, Antonio Serrano, Quincy Jones wrote something, and then we were able to deliver the album for Mr. Toots Thielemans, and he liked really much. And I think, and right now I'm teaching a lot in Amsterdam, lots of online lessons in the school. And so I think about me is this. And the subject for today, when I was talking to the people that organize here, and we have a talking about how we're gonna do that, and we need a subject. And I think a good idea was talking about the the sound, because for example, what I see on the chromatic, lots of people they play good, they know all the scales, they know all the songs, they know the melodies, they know the harmony that's difficult, they play well, but they have a terrible sound sometimes. Sometimes really not good, and sometimes it's okay, but they can improve, and that in that subject, you know, depends the harmonica you use, depends the microphone you use, depends the amplifier you use, depends the environment you are, but also mostly depends the way you play, which embouchure they use, how you blow the notes, how you enadman, tone blocking, pocket, different aspects. The way you play the harmonica will influence on your sound. Of course, we have a few people to listen and try to copy and try to simulate what they do with the harmonica. Stevie Wonder, for example, is a guy that he plays really strong. He plays really heavy. He doesn't play soft. And I think he have a really interesting and amazing sound. One of the few guys that play hard and have a good sound. Then Mr. Tillemans, he had a beautiful sound. Of course, Larry Adler, all those people from more to the old people, the beginning of, and all those groups of players that used to play in quintets, quartets with the harmonicas from 50s, for example. And I don't know you guys if you all guys play the chromatic, but lately I noticed that the sound of the chromatic is changing. And I guess that a lot of people are maybe changing the instrument. And also there's more harmonica factories now, and they all sound different. They are the same instrument, but they sound a bit different. For example, Sido has a lot of harmonicas that use a different reed. Hornist, you have the harmonica does the brass reed, and then you got Suzuki with the different reeds, and then you have this harmonicas from China that impressive. They have quite good copies, but they're quite okay chromatic instruments, so they all sound different. And those days we can have more you can have a studio on your computer, so you can have a different sound, different reverb effects that also affect in the end result from the records that you listen, for example. And more the end up product, the master comes louder and louder and louder. Don't know if you guys notice it, but sometimes you listen something and it's quite loud. The average volume on the albums those days change a lot. So yes, before I start to talking, maybe we can open for questions if people have a question in that subject.
Any questions, anyone? Just unmute yourself.
Alex, what harmonica do you play yourself? Do you have a Hona like the Toots one, or have you got a Brazilian one? Or...
No, right now I use Suzuki. I'm a Suzuki artist. I used to be a Hona artist for a few years, and then I used to be a herring artist. I passed by 4 harmonica factories already. And for me, the chromatics, the Suzuki harmonicas actually are the best instrument that I ever played in my life. I have this instrument here that I'm playing. By the way,
is that a Mare one?
Sorry?
Is that a Gregor Mare one?
This is a Gregor Maret model, yes.
Yep.
And this particular one, Toots was playing in this harmonica because he thought it was his harmonica. He played this harmonica for 1 hour. And then in the end, they say, "Oh, well, sorry." I said, "No, no problem at all." For example, this harmonica, what for me is this harmonica has lots of details that I like much. First of all, it's really comfortable. It's different than the other harmonicas. It's really comfortable in my lips, in the hands. It's a bit heavy, but it's comfortable. Then the reeds has a nice volume. It's a really nice harmonica that you can play really soft, but you also can play hard. For instance, sometimes I remember when I was using horn, I went to play, and if I have to play a bit much because the band was so loud and that was different, it was impossible. And with this one, I can still push a bit more than normal if I need it, and still working. Besides that, there's a harmonica that do not need any maintenance. I mean, I clean sometimes. I open to clean. Sometimes I change the rubbers here on the screws, the silicone rubbers, but it's because I can, but I don't really need it. And before I have to record a album, I do a little check on the tuning, but normally the tuning is always the same, it doesn't change. I think I have this harmonica for maybe 4 years and a half.
Is that the one with the brass plates, brass covers or the wooden covers?
This one is the brass, and this one is the
Oh,
wood.
you got one of each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are the same. The wood ones, we have the tendency to think that sounds a bit more darker and rich, but for me sometimes the metal one sounds more lower. I had the feeling that this one should maybe be more bright, but it's not. And they have this really good reeds, phosphor bronze.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
There's some couple of questions in the chat, Alex. I'll ask the second one first, and I'll come back to Jerry's in a sec. Noel asks, did you customize your harmonica at all?
Do it again.
Sorry, did you customize the harmonica?
This, I don't do nothing.
Out of the box.
Out of the box.
There you go.
I mean, I can do it, but for example, now I have few horns to fix for someone. I don't have much time. What I do is take the mouthpiece out and clean, because when we play, we spit on the harmonica all the time, right? And sometimes that saliva inside get the dust and become to be a bit more difficult to play because it's dirty. So what I do, I clean, and then the slide works as new because it's clean. It's free of anything. That's the only thing I do. And if I have to record an album tomorrow, I will just pass by the tuning to see. For example, this one I was playing before for you guys, and I think the A is a bit low. But I always think, I don't know why, in this harmonic I think the A is low, and I will check and it's not. So it might be maybe from my imagination. But no.
Have you cleaned your mouth organ? How do you clean it?
How do I clean? Good question. I take out the cover and the mouthpiece, and I have a little recipient with a plastic recipient, like flat thing. I put in the water with the soup, like the dishwasher soup, and let that for few minutes just to make things more easy to clean. But normally it's not really dirty, right? So, and then what I try to do is have a flat base where I can clean with soup, water, and maybe some old toothbrush. And especially this slide, because the slide, if you bend the slide, then is not good. So what I do, I put the slide in this flat place, and then I clean when is in a flat. I don't like to clean like that, because then you can bend, and when you put back. That's how I do. I know some people had crazy, strange ways and techniques to do, but no. If I have to take one harmonica and rebuild the harmonica, so I take all the wind savers out, and then I clean with I put on vinegar for like 5 minutes, and then I do with this, I don't know how you call this in English. It's a metal sponge that you use to clean pots, to make the pots shiny.
Scouring pad. Yeah, scouring pad.
Not the green part, but the really tiny metal line.
Umbrella pad. Umbrella pad?
I don't know the name.
No, all right. No.
But you used to make it's more normally sound looks like grease.
Ah.
It's a really fine. I have one here if you want to see. 5 lines of fibers of metal, and then I clean with that. But only in the case that I have to rebuild the harmonica. In case, otherwise, for example, now I just take a little spray with water, and I do this. From far away, not too much, and then, or maybe in a little trap, and do this, and it's good again. Of course, try to not eat fish and fries and then play the harmonica. First, you have to clean your mouth. You know.
Can I ask?
Right. Don't try to mix stuff.
May I ask you? I have a quick method of cleaning my mouth organ, and I don't know if you would say it is a mistake to do it this way, but because I have a lot of saliva, spit,
yeah,
mostly due to my illness,
yeah,
I have to clean it very often, because if I play for half an hour and then leave the mouth organ, the slide sometimes gets stuck, and the only way I can get it open is with warm water. So I have a little container, and I put the mouth organ upside down, so the front is in the water. Yeah, exactly, and just enough to reach the slide.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
and then it's free.
Yeah, in a little while it's free. I don't have to do anything. And
yeah,
because I dry it afterwards. And my last invention of is I use a blanket heater warmer, a small blanket.
Yeah.
With electricity. And I put the mouth organ in there, and I cover it with a small towel. And it's not high temperature. I have it on 1, and it's only maybe around 30.
Yeah. But that's because the slide doesn't work sometimes.
Well, I put them in there when I have washed them to dry them properly. That's my intention anyhow.
Ah, okay, to dry. Yeah, because when you put, this part, maybe under the water like that, this is the water. Yeah, that's a good idea, but don't put too much, because then you get too much water in the wind savers, and that's not good. But so that's the method. But what you can do also is use the spray, because the spray gonna also lose the the slide, and it is faster.
Yeah, yeah.
And a good method also is to do this. This I learned with the old player in Brazil. Great player, amazing player. I used to go to his house on Saturdays, and I noticed that he had something in the arm, and then what is this? And then suddenly he went to play, and he took the harmonica and said, "Hey, wait a minute." Of course, not always, because sometimes it doesn't smell good, but in this way you warm up the harmonica. And
I was going to say, make sure you have a shower first.
Yeah.
Can I just go back to Jerry's question? Jerry plays, or mainly plays diatonic harmonicas.
Yeah.
He's got an old 10-hole Hohner chromatica. So he's asking if to start to learn to play, would you suggest he needs to upgrade or get a better harmonica, or just start playing? Because what he's finding is that tongue blocking seems a bit sharp edged.
He has this old chromatica 10, right? From Horn.
Yes.
10 holes. Okay.
Yes.
If they are old, they have a really square corners.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's just a case to be used.
Mm.
Okay, of course. If you compare that with this one, that's totally round. And if you compare with the cider, that's really square. This is way more comfortable, but it's also a matter of get used to it. And try to play some measure scales. And not because when you play diatonic, you play that's something interesting in the subject that we talking today. When I play diatonic, I play a bit more harder, right? I'm playing more. I use more power. When I play chromatic, is I don't play that hard. So because the chromatic has the wind savers, so normally your chromatic plays more easily, so you lose less air. On the diatonic, you lose more air because there's two reeds in the same hole, and it had no wind savers. Mostly of the diatonic. There's some diatonics with wind savers, but and the chromatic, you have 4 reeds in every hole, but they have the wind savers to contrapoint the losing air, right? And so normally a chromatic will play more easily when you use less power, blow more easy. And good exercises, play long notes and play a few scales and play songs that you know more easy to get used to. And of course play more, because if you play only on a Sunday evening for 10 minutes, doesn't makes a difference. You have to play. That's something interesting on the playing harmonica. There's a muscle memory. So when you play every day a little bit, next day muscles will remember. Because we don't see, right? If I play keyboard, if I play saxophone, flute, guitar, I know where the notes. The harmonica, we don't. If you're blind or not. More questions?
You mentioned vinegar, Alex, when you clean.
Yeah.
Do you prefer white or clear white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, or the brown? Do you have a preference?
I take the one that the transparent, but one point here. I only use vinegar if I'm gonna do an overhaul on the harmonica. But I have to come for to make the harmonica new again.
Yeah.
I have to do a deep cleaning. That's why I use vinegar. Otherwise, I don't use.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Is that enough questions for now? Should we move on, Alex? Yeah.
Yes. So nice questions. Thanks, you guys. Please, I'm here to help you. So about the sound, everybody is what the embouchure that you guys use, tone blocking or pocket, or most of the people use tone blocking.
I'm learning to tone block, and I do,
Alex, I use pucker mostly. When I tongue block, I get an awful lot of saliva coming out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's because there's a big part of your mouth in the harmonic, so there's more chance to put in the saliva, right? But tone blocking or a pocket, they also change the sound, right? Old books and people that learn harmonica a few more years ago, I think that was more common to use tone blocking, right? I have a few books, they are old books, and then they just talk, and even they only talk about tone blocking, not pocket. When you play pocket, the sound is a bit more bright, right? In my case, I don't know why. I naturally I have a quite good sound with the pocket. I don't use tone blocking much. I use tone blocking with the chromatic only when I need it. When it depends what I'm gonna play. Or I also use a lot of octaves. Depends what I play. If you play tango or if you play blues, I use octave. And the octaves in the chromatic is really interesting. But mainly if I will play in, then I will use pocket, right? This is pocket. But if I'm gonna play, then I use octave. Or if I'm gonna play a little march thing like a, then I use tone blocking. But if I will play a melody, and then I use tone blocking. For example, Gregor Maret, he used everything tone blocking. I use pocket. Toots was using a lots of pocket too, and that just that changed the sound. Then the way you blow and the way you draw also changed the sound. A lot of people had the tendency to use the cheeks, right, to blow. That's not really good. So you have to use the diaphragm, because I'm talking to you guys here a few minutes and my diaphragm is doing this. But let the air go outside, let the air come inside. That's a really boring exercise, but I think helps a lot people to have a better sound. Is just take one scale that you like it or melody that you like it and play really slowly, play long notes. Like, I don't know, take the F scale and then play long notes, flat. See, I'm not trying to play a vibrato or throat vibrato that they say, or using vibrato. Just try to play flat. Okay. Then either way, tone blocking or pocket, sometimes also people get too stressed in your lips. See, because when you don't know the level you guys play, but for example, I see with the new students, they start to play one note. We talk about pocket, but sometimes they play pocket, but they start to get stressy here in the lips, right? Normally, if this is my harmonic, this is my weight, this is my lips. I don't do this, but I do this. I really put the harmonica inside of my lips, and not and then beginners, they had to do the tendency to start to do this, and then the sound it's not nice. It's bright, and also you can listen, right? I play one note, but the second way that the play, I had the note plus lots of air, so the sound is more like zzz, and the note, so that's not nice. So we have to really use your lips, and when that has to be relaxed, right? Really relaxed. If you do tone blocking, when you do tone blocking, normally you don't stress too much your lips. And I will play a note here, pocket in the same note, tone blocking. I want you to hear and see if you can hear the difference. I will play the note do on the middle of my harmonica, and I'll use pocket. Okay, and now I'm gonna use tone blocking. You notice the difference? Is a little difference in the sound. So tone blocking is more dark, more close, more low, and the pocket's more bright, right? I see there's more questions there.
There's one question there that asks, how can a person improve vibrato?
Aha, that's something. That's a good subject. I will give one example. I never had a lesson, so one of those days that I met someone that I knew how to play good. They have a harmonica orchestra in Brazil called Orquestra de Harmônicas from Curitiba. Curitiba is a city in Brazil. It's beautiful. They play amazing. And I met the boss there, the maestro, the soloist, and I asked. He gave me some papers to study, and I asked about the vibrato. Hey, and the vibrato? He said, man, the vibrato will come one day. And then I went home like, really? That's difficult. The vibrato is interesting. Lots of people have really ugly vibrato because they force too much. Vibrato has to be something that comes naturally. Of course, you can exercise on that, but that's a difficult exercise. You can use the vibrato in different ways. A good way to practice vibrato is play a long note slowly. I will show one exercise here, but it has to be really slowly. I will do 10 times faster, but you have to choose a note and try to play that note slowly and repeat that note slowly, and you slowly increase the speed. For instance, I play here the note E, mi, on the 2 on my harmonica, so I play longer. Then I repeat. See, then I start to play a vibrato. Some people force too much here. That's not nice. I do my way of vibrato. I do the vibrato with the blowing, right? But I also move the harmonica a little. Chromatic, I move a little bit in my lips. Now I'm only gonna do not the throat vibrato, but I'm only gonna move the harmonica. As a nice, it's a vibrato that has the wave really soft. You almost don't notice it. So when I mix that with the throat vibrato, it gets interesting. It's not too stronger. For some people play, that's not nice. From my point of view, right? Did answer the question? Okay. More questions?
Going back to vibrato, I often find that I like you. I alternate between tongue blocking and puckering, but I find that if I tongue block, I can't do a vibrato with my tongue, which I'm quite fond of. So sort of there.
Oh, you use the vibrato with the tongue.
Yeah, I do. Is that?
Yeah, if you use tongue blocking, your tongue is already busy doing something else, right?
Well, quite. Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
Then they think it's difficult. But to be honest, I don't like my personal taste. Long ago, I did try to experiment with that. I didn't like much the vibrato with the tongue. For me, it doesn't sound, for my taste, doesn't sound that nice.
No? Oh, well.
Is interesting. Is interesting. Depends, not for everything. Maybe depends what you want to do.
Sure.
But although when I play diatonic, but then I use the tongue, it's not a vibrato, it's something else. But when you do tone blocking, your tongue is already blocking the note, right? So
sure.
Then how are you gonna?
Well, that's right. I find it quite refreshing to hear that you do a mixture of the two, because I've always felt that I should tongue block, and sometimes I do, but I tend to forget to tongue block, and I just don't like doing it much.
But sometimes, for example, if I'm using tongue blocking, I'm trying to throat vibrato.
Right.
See? But I also can. But depends what you play, because if you play a fast tune, you don't have time to do a vibrato.
Sure.
A vibrato will work nice in the long notes, mid-low long notes, or ballads or slowly songs. One thing about vibrato I see with students when they start to play, because there's an interesting effect on the harmonica. It sounds nice, right? That captivates the listeners. Oh, this is beautiful. When they start and they too busy in the beginning with the vibrato, they forget the rest. Yeah. So I try to convince them to switch. Now, first try to play beautiful melodies, try to be able to improvise something, to play scales, to play a rich melody, and then you start to think about the sound. I mean, I don't want to say forget about the sound since the beginning. I'm talking about a vibrato, right? But with the chromatic, we can do lots of vibratos. We can also use the wah-wah. That's a different vibrato, right? Depends what you want to do. Depends how you play, because if I'm using the microphone, that's more difficult to do the wah-wah with your hands, right? It's more difficult when you got the microphone on the hand. But if the microphone is in the stand and then you play close to the microphone, then you, of course, you can use, right? More questions?
Herring, the herring factory closed, didn't it? Do you know why that was? Or?
No, they're still working. They're still working.
Oh, still working. All right. Oh, okay.
They're still working. They long ago they had a good quality instruments, not great, but was okay, was good. I remember there was a time in Brazil that if you have a factory, some other factory has to be part of somebody from outside. So Horner has like shares on herring, and I remember a few diatonics. There was exactly the marine band. Even the holes for the news, that was the same. And I remember that they was using some material from Horner, I think the reed materials or maybe the and when I was in Dallas, I found in a pawn shop or so, in a second-hand shop, a little Horner made in Brazil. Like Horner has now this Chinese harmonicas made in China, these cheap models. They used to have this cheap model made in Brazil that was made in herring. So that was quite good quality.
I've got a few herrings, but my understanding was that they can't be serviced if anything goes wrong with them because obviously I've been told incorrectly then that they still can then.
Yeah. They can. I still have parts here from herring.
Oh, okay.
I did lots of, but this week I fixed a herring for a student.
Oh.
But depends the model, depends the year, it's because there's a particular detail on the herring. The herring compared with the Horner is a harmonica that plays really easy. It's really soft. You lose lots of you don't lose air I mean you do, but you lose less air than you lose on the Horner. But the thing is, depends the model you have, depends the year, the quality of the materials are not good, the reeds are not good, so they broke easily. And it's a bit, but for example, if I have a herring harmonica now and I need some parts, I can get the parts.
Oh, that's interesting. They sell them very cheaply on Thomann, the Diatonics, very cheaply. They're about £16, I think, or even £12, I think it might be.
They sell herring at Thomann?
Yeah, I bought one. I bought a Diatonic in E within the last year, and it was extraordinarily cheap. And I thought the reason was because it was old stock, and I assumed that herring had gone out of business, but obviously not.
No. They're still working. They're still working. Actually,
Yeah.
other day I called one of those old people that I used to learn how, and they're still working there.
Oh.
Tuning harmonicas. Yes, it's a small factory now. They get
Right.
smaller and smaller, but still working.
They're also quite practical because the plates are screwed together. There's no tacks in there, or at least on the ones I've got.
Most of the harmonicas is with screws. Yeah, I remember being there working with them when we say please use the screws now. So they start to I remember I had to test the first diatonic with a plastic comb with screws. So when they changed from wood, they still that time they was doing the one with the wood, but when the plastic comes, then they put screws. Horner was using nails on the plastics for a long time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think, and Horner still uses nails on the toots, which I think is
yeah. But when they use nails, is more easy to in the production. It's faster. You put the harmonica there, pack, it's done. With the screw, you have to. Although they have the machine, but it takes more time.
Yeah, on a harmonica that costs in excess of £200, you think they would spend a little time on it, but obviously not.
Yeah, if you see now the diatoms from Horner, the one that has screws, they had like 2, 4, more or less 7 screws, and the 4 on the corners they take out. They just use 2 or 3 to save on the screws. Sometimes, especially on the low side on the harmonica, it's better to have those screws there because then the harmonica is really tight on the body. On the high notes, you almost don't use, and you still have the screw on the cover, so that also fixed. But on the low octaves, this is more interesting to use. Now, anybody use different microphones and amplifiers for harmonicas?
Yes,
to get,
I do.
Yes, what do you use?
If you can you see? I use the same harmonica the same microphone that Toots started to use at the end of his career.
Yeah, this
And
little
it's
one with the volume.
Greg Human.
Yeah, it's a
It does
58 with the volume control.
Yeah, this is a Shure 58.
Yes, I don't hear you really well.
Oh right, I'll see if I can turn the volume up. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, really good.
Good. Yes, I've got this Shure 58
Yeah,
modified or customized by Greg Human.
yeah.
And it was a microphone that was recommended to Toots by his sound engineer apparently. And
Yeah, it's funny.
if you see the latest or the final videos that Toots did, you can see that he uses this particular type of microphone.
Yes. I had the chance to work with, when I come to Europe, I had to meet some musicians. I had to find a way to know musicians. So I was volunteer in the festivals, some festivals in Belgium. I was living in Belgium. So I was working the stage with Toots, luckily. And the sound guy was Chris. He lives here actually in Amsterdam. Great sound guy. And Toots was using that too. I'm not a big fan. It's a light instrument. It's a light microphone with the volume control. I don't think Greg changed the EQ from the microphone. It's the same sound from.
Well, I previously used a 57.
Yeah.
Sure, but of course that was an instrument microphone.
Yeah.
But it was difficult to hold. If you use a handheld microphone, it was a bit difficult in the sort of the ball, if you know the ball at the top.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. I'm holding it up.
No, I don't see you.
You can hold it in the palm of your hand nicely, and then you've got the harmonica straight over the top.
Yeah, that's more easy. Yes. Yeah. It's really similar to this microphone.
Similar. Yeah,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, because it's small, but you also have the volume control.
I've got one of those, Alex. It's an Audix, isn't it?
Yeah, Audix. I work with Audix. They are really good. I like it really much. It's similar, right? So they short, and we have the control volume. I don't know. I'm not sure if Greg changed the characteristics of the sound of the microphone. That's really important. If we compare what Toots did, many albums, many live shows, he used the 58 and sound great. Of course, talking about sound on the chromatic, the sound is on you, right? So if you don't have a nice sound playing here, a great microphone will not make the difference. So you have to have your own sound acoustically in your room, right? Then, of course, a microphone and also a good amplifier helps a lot. Any people use another microphone, different microphones? I can talk a little bit of microphones. I have a few here if you are interesting to see. I like this one. It's handy and it's light and has a volume control. And the sound is really similar to the 50 to 58.
So what actually is it? It's the Audix, is it?
The Audix Fireball.
Fireball. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they have one with the volume control and they had one without. It's really comfortable. It's easy to take, and it's actually light. And the sound is quite clear and nice. I also like this is a German microphone. It's a Diatonic M88TG. Actually, Chris Wedder, the sound engineer from Toots, told me about this one. It's a good microphone. I'm super happy with this. Really, this is a good light. I have another Audix also. This the Audix OM6. This sound for me is a little different than this one. This is more low. I really like this one. Of course, they have a different characteristics, right? I have another biodynamic. This is quite old. This one. It's also smaller. It's from 60s, but it's light and nice, and it's not too the ball is not too big. So for me, it's really cool. I like this too much. It's a good sound, but it's a bit more bright. This is more similar to a Shure A57 Beta A.
Do you use a different mic for a diatonic? And
Yes, just a second.
Hmm?
Just a second. I have another mic here. I used to use and I bought this especially for the chromatic. This is Shure Beta A 57 Beta A. It's really nice mic for the chromatic. I like it, especially for the diatone, clear sound. But then I discovered this other one that for me has a little dark sound. I like more. It's not too bright. Then I also have this old Shure with the volume control.
Oh, the Unidyne, is it?
I don't know. They use this a lot for diatone.
Oh, right. I haven't seen one of those for years. Yeah.
Yeah, this is old.
Yeah, I used to have one of those. Wow.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah. These presumably are microphones for live performing. Do you, when you record, do you use the same setup or?
Depends where. If I am in a studio, big studio, and if the studio has a buff only for me, and the music's more acoustic, then I will use a condenser microphone, and I will be free in my hands. So the mic will be here, and I will be free in my hands. Mainly of my albums I just record with microphone here, and I'm more comfortable with that. Or sometimes in the studio, using the microphone in my hand and another microphone to cap the sound around the harmonic, and use those both tracks.
And do you have any preference for condenser mics or?
Not really.
No.
The expensive ones. Because the cheap ones, they're not so good. But normally if you go to a studio and depends the studio, they have the Neumann, so they have the AKGs are really good. In the end, the microphone helps, but it's your sound here, you know. They might bring you the $15,000 Neumann, and your sound is not good, so not going to sound. I mean, we can touch. You can use EQ. That's also important. Equalization on what you record. Those days, everybody using computer. You can download some stuff and try to work with that and experimental with that. Reverb, you know, the echo, the reverb is really interesting on the sound. For me, when I use the German, the biodynamic microphone, is just straight, and I got some friends, they use some telefunking. Those microphones are really have a really low sound. That's also good. I know some harmonica player, they use how you call that, floor tone on the drummer for microphone, for the floor tone. They're really low.
Bass mics, yeah.
Bass mics, yes. The harmonica has a lot of low mids, so the depends your taste, right? What happens sometimes, I see the sound of lots of harmonica players, really bright sound, and that's not really what I'm looking for example. But
Well, that's interesting. I've got a bass drum mic. It's never occurred to me to use it for harmonica. I'll give that a go in a minute.
Alex, what did you just suggest for a bass? The bass microphone.
Yeah.
What did you just suggest? I know you said Telefunken. What was in the other one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't remember the model details, the names. But for example, this biodynamic is really they use a lot in the bass drums also. This one. Phil Collins used this on the bass drum. Beatles used to use the same microphone.
Alex?
Yes, sir.
Suzuki, the Adler trio and people like that use microphones that they're actually attached to the harmonica by Suzuki.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across those?
Yeah, I don't like much.
No, right.
Because they have a really small diaphragm.
Okay.
And that's quite small.
Thank you. Cheers.
Because those types, but it's just my taste. It might be that you got one and then you go like, whoa, it's amazing. You know, depends. For example, I have two microphones here. They're almost the same. Almost the same. One have a little bit more gain, so more volume when I play. And one has a slightly more bass. So if I use this microphone and put a little bit gain and a bit more bass, they're gonna sound the same. You see, it depends the situation too. But in general, microphones with the small I just said the word. I'm sorry for my English.
Diaphragm.
They tend to have this a bright sound. You know, computer microphones are kind of bright. This one is actually really good. But and someone asked me before if I use microphones for a special microphone for diatonic.
Yes, that was me. Yeah.
Yes, I do. But then it's a different sound, right? When I want to play, let's say if I'm gonna play acoustic, me and two guitar players, acoustic guitar players, and maybe a double bass, acoustic bass, I like to play acoustic. So we'll have a microphone in the stand, and I will play close to the mic or not, and use my hand to do some effects and also some I forget the word in English. When you change the volume, you still play, but not playing too loud, you play soft and then play more loud. Work with the volume. Now, if
Dynamics?
I have
Dynamics, yeah.
Dynamics, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Now, if I play with the band, right, with guitar, drummer, and depends the style also. It's more electric blues. Then I will use one of those bullets. I have one here. Is a static. 15.4, I think. 54 this one has a crystal element. This is really nice. This is not to play clear. You need to plug this in a tube amplifier if it's possible, in a guitar tube amplifier to get a better sound. I also had this one. This somebody gave to me in
That's Bullettini.
Yeah, actually Horner maybe now have a microphone made by these people. They are quite okay. They're quite okay, but I prefer this one. But they're quite okay, and they're also small, so that's easy to play with. I might have some other microphones too, so but they're not here. But more or less, it's this. The sound really depends on your playing. You know, try to play clear, and not forcing too much. Don't be, because the harmonica is not the trumpet, right? A lot of people plays really strong, and that maybe is not. I see somebody talk about the AKG D12. Is that a long microphone?
It's kind of cuboid shaped. It's the one that you see. It was actually a vocal mic in Buddy Holly's day. If you see those vintage photographs of Buddy Holly.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Kind of squarish microphone.
Yeah.
But because of its mellowness and the fact that it had a little bit of a pronounced low end frequency, it became a bass drum mic for a long time. It was superseded by the D12 Egg, what was called the Egg one, the more modern one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. There's a, yeah. Okay, I know the microphone. There's another AKG also. I don't know if you guys used know Howard Levy. He used that a lot. Is a straight mic, quite square, long. It's a straight thing. That's a really beautiful mic for acoustic. He has a really mellow sound out. So that's really interesting in terms of microphones, right? But those days you have so many options, and maybe if you end up having a microphone that's a bit bright, you can. If you record of your home studio, you can use a EQ to cut those frequencies out. So the most interesting thing is use a capture the sound in a good way. So when the sound is on the system, on the tape, or on the record home studio, you can trick the sound for good. Something that's really interesting is the reverb is really interesting also. Some people use too much reverb, some people use too little. So get the really good amount of reverb is really important too. How about amplifiers? People use, you guys plug the clear mic in. Somebody say something?
Yes, someone was asking about amplifiers.
Yes, I was starting to talk about that. I use a amp that calls Schertler. A really good amp made in. You guys want to see?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. As you guys know, I'm in Holland, so we use a lot of bike here. So I put my mic and my amplifier in the bike, and that's it. 6 kilos and really good amplifier, amazing. Have two. You can plug two, like there's one channel only, but you can plug a guitar and a harmonica. But then you can control only one time. But it's amazing and really strong. My guitar player bought this one, and I went to Brazil. I play with him in a place, Schertler, that had 200 people, no PA, and I plugged my harmonica on that. That's good enough. I use here many times really good amplifier, light. They have similar amplifier here in Holland. A lot of people used to, especially singers that play like duos. They play with the guitar and they sing. They use amplifier that calls IR. That's also good, but it's too expensive. This one is, for me, is the same quality, and they have price. Really good sound, really amazing. I was impressed about it, so I bought one for me. It's really nice, but of course you can plug on PA, you can plug on any. I did a show one time and there was no PA, and I had to plug the chromatic on a twin reverb. I like it that way. Was a bit punch, but it's nice. It did work for the place, but maybe because on the chromatic has a soft sound, so we don't need something too powerful. We need something more soft, right? Because the instrument's already soft enough. But also depends the environment that you play. If you play in a big show, probably they're gonna have a PA. Then you plug on a PA, then you use the microphone in your hands, and then of course a little reverb is interesting, and maybe some EQ, depends the microphone you are using. Sometimes it's good to cut around 10,000 and cut a little bit on that frequency. And also, if you have a plate reverb, use more or less a camera decay they call 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds. Then from that you can adjust a little bit more or less. That's average, okay, but of course the place you are in change a lot the sound. I talk about the application to study for my students. Let me see the name of the application. If you guys use iPhone, this one works good, but I don't know where it is anymore. That called AD 480 is sort of reverb. So you can use your plugins that has a microphone that goes to the telephone, and when you practice, that gives you kind of like a camera, a reverb, and you can choose, and it's nice because then you hear yourself what you're doing. Because if I play now, I listen to the sound here, but if I have kind of like a microphone with reverb, so I will have a feedback from what I'm playing. So that's interesting to play the practice the harmonica.
May I ask a question, please?
Please, yes.
That amplifier you showed us, how much is it heavy? How many?
No, it's really light, 6 kilos. And,
6 kilo, okay.
Yeah, I think costs around 600 euros, maybe a bit less. Depends where you are.
Yeah. Is it a Dutch make or?
No, it's made in Sweden.
Okay.
What was the make again, please?
Sweden, and the name is Schertler. I will maybe.
And so is it like the AER? Does it have reverb on it too?
Yeah, for me it's better than the AER, and it's half price.
Yeah.
Schertler, let me see.
And it's battery driven.
No, that one's not battery.
Can you get them with battery?
Good question. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
No.
For the battery, here's the webpage, but let's come to see. They change. Amps. Accept. I'm gonna send you exactly the link for that instrument.
Thank you.
I put here the link. It's there. So that for me is and I know Gregory Maret also he saw me, I think he asked me and I tell him, and then he bought it and super happy. Another great harmonica player, Gabriel Rossi, used the same. A few guys in Germany I saw it already using. I was with one of those days I was in Frankfurt on a mess, and Lee Oscar asked me what I think, and then he bought one or two, I think. This guy that worked with Sido, what's his name? He worked for Sido. Nice guy from Germany.
Bertram Becker?
I think so. He also bought one, and he called me, Alex, man, what a tip, man! What a great amplifier. I sold my other ones, and wow, he was so happy. Really, I mean, it's amazing, and they're not paying me money to promote that, so it's really good.
Okay, Alex, I think we may have to leave it there now because we've it's time flies when you're having fun, hey?
I have fun. There's more questions here, no?
No, you answered Jim's question about the price, and then everyone's got the link.
Okay.
So, are we okay if we leave it there, folks?
Can I just ask you? There's quite a strong gypsy jazz thing in Amsterdam. Are you involved with that at all?
No, I know some people. I did some jam one day, but not really. I know some people. They organize some stuff. I think last week they had something around. But I don't know really much about it. But I know some people that they do some jam sessions sometimes. Sometimes actually close to my place there's one. I don't know, maybe if it's the same people we're talking about, but I know some people that do a lot of gypsy jazz, but not really involved with that.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for today, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. Brilliant.
Any more questions? So I suggest you guys to listen to my albums on Spotify. I think maybe some show something. If anybody wants online lessons, I'm open for that. What else?
Are your albums, Alex, on CD for us old fogies who don't do Spotify?
I have right now. Yes, I have. I think I still have four albums on CD. Some of them, the later ones, the tribute for Toots, we still have CDs.
Right.
And my duo, I still have CDs. Yes.
So, what's your website, Alex?
Yes, I will write down here.
So I've just posted it in the. Oops. Yeah, there you go. It's in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
It's working, but sometimes it's not working.
Yeah, I've put it in the chat.
Yeah. And what else? Yeah, if you can listen, then